Hello, my name is Dominik Majewski, and I'll be showing you my Summative C. So, this is my steps to how to do it using my Gantt chart. So, I'll give you a quick, like what I did basically for my steps. So, first I made an open floorplanner.com and made an account. I started an empty project. Then for the third step, I started to make my rooms and my initial house shape using the rooms tool. So using the rooms tool, I made my house shape and put all the rooms that were in my house. And then after that, I used the draw walls tool to then create walls. Since it was only just an outline of rooms, I then had to create the walls for all the houses. And so I did that for these two things. So for making the initial rooms, I had to use the rooms tool, the create rooms tool, and for this I needed, of course, a computer and a mouse. And I started this about November 3rd, and it took me about a class period because I kind of kept changing my house shape, and I kept changing where I wanted to put each rooms so that it fit better together. And so for my walls then, I started doing this November 5th. That was the next class period after. And this took me about 20 to 30 minutes because I kind of didn't really understand how to use it at first. But once I got the hang of it, it went pretty quickly. Then my next step was that I used the place door, place window, and place structure buttons. So I placed my front door. I placed windows around my house. And I placed doors. I also placed doors leading into any rooms that I had, which was my bathroom, my laundry room on the first floor. And then I used the place structure button to place a staircase, showing that there's a second floor. But there was no way for me to make a second floor on floor planner, but it just indicates that there's a second floor and there's a staircase leading up to it. Okay, so once you have that done, once I had all the windows and doors placed, I started actually putting and by the way, I finished putting in all the windows and doors and structures. I finished that also November 4th in about 40 minutes. It took me 40 minutes to figure it all out, figure out how to put each doors and how to put different types of doors in the different locations on my house, and I did that November 5th. Then on my next step, I did this November 7th. And this was me putting in all the furniture into my house. So my house, so basically this was putting in the counters, the tables, the chairs, the sofa, the TV. So that took me about 3 to 4 days. I did this by clicking on the top left hand side. There's a chair icon and the search icon, and then once you click the chair, you can click the search button, and you can search up for any assets basically that you need. So any chairs, tables, TVs, sofas, kitchen top counters, anything like that I was putting in. And I even put in a rug. There's even rugs and stuff on there. And this took me 3 to 4 days, mostly because I kept changing it. I kept changing where all my seats were, where all my tables were, where my kitchen was, where my living room was, where my sofa was. I kept changing it because I wanted it to look just right, basically. And then on November 13th, which was the class period right before the summer was due, I did final touch-ups on my design. I just made sure in my 3D model that everything looked right. I clicked the 3D option because on SketchUp you can have it in 2D and 3D. So I clicked on the 3D option that's found in the top right hand corner, and I clicked on it, and I looked around to make sure everything's in place, everything's proportional, everything looks right, and everything looks how it's supposed to be looking. And this took me about 10 to 15 minutes because everything was okay. So I just looked around, made sure everything was good, make sure all the measurements are okay. So one of the things that I did about one of the things that's a little different about my plan or steps is I didn't do 5, but rather I want to do 7. I thought this would maybe flow better if I did 7 steps. I think people could read it easier and it would flow better in general if I did a little bit more than 5. And I think it'd be easier to read. And this actually did help me plan stuff because I'd be like, because the way I set up the dates was I looked on ManageBack and I looked at what time each thing was due. I mean, each like formative was due, and by that I kind of knew when I should start each thing, and I kind of made a path for myself that I followed, and I got it done, which was nice. So this is what I started out with. I did already start putting furniture, but you could see my initial like shape of my house with walls and windows and doors. I just had a door and 2 windows. And then this was when I started putting in more furniture. I put in a lot more windows. I put in my bathroom, my laundry room. I put a bunch of furniture in, a bunch of rugs, couches, a TV, a kitchen, a living room, a toilet, a sink, stairs again. And then I textured it a little bit. I changed it up a little bit. I changed the rug. I changed the texture of the floor a little bit. And then this was my final design. That's what I finished with. I added my design specifications right here, which is the solar panels. I added the windows. I labeled everything. I labeled the dining room, kitchen, the living room, the bathroom, the laundry room, and the stairs. That was the whole first floor. I wish I could do the second floor so I could show you the bedrooms and all that, but there was no... unfortunately, I was not able to do a second floor. Let's catch up. This is a 3D model of what my final design looked like from one angle. You can see the windows and the doors here. And this is the another angle of my 3D model. So, technical skills and ATLs I used. So these are the 3 ATLs I used. So for the ATLs, I developed new skills, techniques, and strategies for effective learning. I did this because Floor Planner was a very, very new to me. I didn't really understand when I first started. I didn't understand how to use it basically at all. So I didn't develop new skills and how to use it. And then another ATL I used was practice bouncing back after adversity, mistakes, and failures. So a lot of the time in my floor planner, I'd do a lot of things, but then I'd say, I don't like it, or it's not good enough. And then I'd delete a bunch of stuff. And I think that's where the bouncing back came from, not to lose motivation. If your vision's not coming together, not to lose motivation, to keep trying. So that was one of the ATLs I used. And then negotiating ideas and knowledge with peers and teachers. So that was another ATL I used because me and Ethan sit next to each other, and I'd bounce off a lot of ideas off Ethan, and he'd bounce a lot of ideas off me, and we talked, and together I think we kind of learned how to use Floor Planner. Like, I asked him a bunch of stuff on how to use it and that, so that was nice, like asking for ideas and stuff like that, and learning more about Floor Planner together, basically. So technical skills I used the technical skill of like technology, so using the computer, using Floor Planner. That was a technical skill I used. Another technical skill I used was negotiation, because I asked different people for feedback on my thing, and I think the technical skill of like socializing and talking and asking for feedback and asking for, hey, does this look good? What do you think of this? Do you think this is proportional? Or even just asking questions of, oh, how do I place this here? Oh, how do I rotate this? Oh, how do I resize this? I can't figure it out. So those were 2 technical skills I used. And then what were some changes that I made? So some changes I made were my original SketchUp didn't have windows. And so I wanted my design to have a lot more natural light because it's supposed to be an eco-friendly home. So I did want my final design to have a lot more windows than what my 3D model had. So that was a change I made. To be even specific, if I go back, my final design, my 3D model had 2 windows here in the front, this one and this one. And then my final one has 6, 7, 8, has 8 windows in it. which was, so yeah, so this one has 8 windows. My a 3D model had 2 only. So that's one of the things I changed. Another thing I changed was my 3D model was, again, a 2-story building with a garage. Not a garage, but like a place where you could put your car with a patio. There was really no way for me to do that on Floor Planner. And Floor Planner, unfortunately, to do that, I'd have to buy the paid version, which I couldn't. So I unfortunately could not make a second story. So I had to just do a first story, and I could not make a garage, which wasn't too fun. Which was, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, so those are the changes I made. Thank you.